Welcome to this summary episode for building the Tau FireWarrior Cosplay Helmet. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. So far this build process is coming along really nice. We did this nice design work of it. We built all the pieces in foam and Warbler, and we've coated it a few times in resin to smooth things out a little bit. Now it is time to finish up the resin smoothing process. So far I've applied 2 layers of resin, primarily using the Shell Shock resin from Smooth On, and you would apply resin over the entire helmet and sand it down. You do a second layer just like that, apply it over the helmet and sand it down. Now at this point, when we start getting on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th layers, you don't got to cover over the entire helmet. What you want to do is look for areas where you need a little bit more resin to fill things in, and just kind of spot fill the resin in, let it cure, and sand it down. Now to make life a little bit easier, you want to kind of work on one section of the helmet at a time. You can see here, I've just traced a few areas out using a Sharpie pen to indicate that, okay, I'm going to work on this part of the helmet and get this area smooth before moving on to the next part. It's just a little bit of project management on my side to kind of keep things orderly. It is going to take a while to fill all this stuff in, but when you're done you should have a really nice, awesome looking helmet. Also in this little summary video we're going to talk about how I'm going to start building the front sensor screen of the FireWarrior helmet here. Now the electronics are coming out of the 2nd version of the helmet, and I'm not really going to talk a lot about the electronics in this tutorial, but to give you an idea of what you're dealing with here, it's pretty much one step above your basic Arduino level LED blinking program. If you can go ahead and do that project 1 of Arduino, which is to make an LED blink, this helmet is just one step above that. You can very easily figure out how to make these LEDs blink in different orders to, light up the front of the helmet. But what I need to do is cut out 2 large circles, which are kind of the main sensor areas, and then a total of 5 other little circles, which are going to be for individual LEDs to blink around. When it came to tracing out the actual shape of the main sensor areas, for the top side I actually used a 40mm base from Games Workshop, and for the bottom side I used a 25mm base. I traced around them with a Sharpie pen to get a nice smooth circle. To cut them out, I first took a Dremel and kind of drilled in a little bit to give me an area to where I can start taking a saw and start cutting the saw around, and then the saw was able to roughly cut out the circle shape of the sensor area. Of course, with the top one, I did screw up a little bit and I cut the sensor area out a little bit too big. But you know what? That's not a big deal. Why? Because you guys get to learn when I screw things up. That's kind of the fun part of the tutorial, right? I'm learning what I'm doing here and I'm screwing things up, and you guys don't have to make the same mistakes. At least, hopefully, don't make the same mistakes. But it's really easy to fix that. I'll fix that here in just one moment. But before I do that, I'm going to take the Dremel, and once again I'm going to drill out a small hole for each of the 5 LEDs. The top sensor area has 3 LEDs that blink in sequence, and the bottom sensor area has 2 LEDs that blink in sequence. So now I've got the empty spots where I can stick the little LEDs for electronics later on. Let's get back to fixing that oversized hole that I accidentally cut. And the solution is something you probably use time and time again in the tabletop gaming world, and that would be green stuff. Green stuff is a 2-part epoxy putty. There's a blue part and a yellow part, and when you mix it together it turns green, and give it a few hours and it hardens up. And you can see here I'm just taking a small amount of green stuff. I'm just filling in the area that I accidentally cut out a little bit too much, and then I take the 40mm base, I hold it over the sensor hole, and then I'm tracing out on the green stuff where exactly I need to sand it back down to. Because you notice here, just in general, both the top and the bottom area, they're very rough cuts. So I'm going to have to now go in and take sandpaper and sand it down so they're nice and circular smooth. So that right here summarizes up this live stream for this aspect of kind of finishing the smoothing aspect of the FireWarrior helmet and building the sensor array. And if you like what you saw here, you can watch this live over at twitch.tv/RockoRobotics, and of course subscribe to this YouTube channel to go ahead and get the latest notifications of this build project. So once again, thank you for watching. I'm Jason, and have a good night.